Guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're okay today and having a lovely day. So today I wanted to talk to you about spiritual awakening and family breakdowns. Now, when you enter into a spiritual awakening, your vibration automatically starts changing and it starts rising into a higher vibratory field. So you are going into your heart vibration. Now what we've got is we have got different timelines on this earth, and people are on different vibratory fields all at the same time. It's simultaneously. So at the same time, we are all on different timelines. So what happens is you suddenly start to break away from your existing timeline that you're on, and this causes you to start to have breakdowns within your family who's not on the same vibratory vibration as you. Now, a lot of people will explain to you that, oh, I went through a spiritual awakening and, you know, I lost touch with all my family, my friends, and they just don't understand why. So what also happens is just before the break, just before the split of the timelines, the vibratory field goes like higher for you because you're going through the spiritual awakening in the heart, but it goes extremely low for the family member because the family member does not understand what's going on, tries to make sense of it, and goes into what's called fear and panic, and they start to really panic that something's wrong, something's not right, and their vibratory field actually changes and drops to a lower dense vibration. And that is what happens just before the split of the timelines. So the timeline then, the person who's on the spiritual awakening rises up, and the person who's on the 3D goes to an area of fear-based practice, and usually that is so they go there so they can go and do their own clearing and their own energy, trying to make sense and understand of what's going on. And as changes start coming in and as they start getting the messages, they'll realize, you know, this is actually a Christ awakening. This is not just somebody's lost the marbles. And what will happen is then they'll start to shift in their own vibratory field, and they'll start to rise up within their own field and start to understand and try and find their own peace within their own world. So you do tend to find that a lot of people will say, you know, I've split up with partners. So usually what happens with the partners is, again, it's a different split in vibratory fields, but it's also then understanding that the relationship just was not working, or it was just a relationship that was just not going anywhere. And that's why a lot of people in COVID have taken to separating. So I think COVID's been like one of the worst times of separation known in history, and that's because people have had to spend time with each other. People have gone within. Some people have gone through the spiritual awakenings and some people haven't, and this is where the splits are coming in, and it's causing diversion within the families. Even I watch it every day, you know, like people who within that family have been going to church and praying, they're on a different vibratory field to their husband, and I can see that the arguments and the tension is starting to rise up, because the one that's in fear is the one that will cause the argument, and the one that's at peace is the one that wants to do anything but get away from the argument. Now, your spiritual being will not allow anything to stop this awakening. So anything that gets in the way of this spiritual awakening will be moved immediately out of the life of that person, because they're not allowed to spend time with that person if they're on a different vibration, because they're on a different timeline. So even though it looks the same, we're actually existing at different times within that person's being. And that's basically how it works. So you do see a lot of breakdowns, a lot of breakups, because your soul is wanting to get back to its pure essence and its pure self and its pure unconditional love. That's where it's wanting to go, and it will move anything out of the way to get there, because it will not stand for anything that tries to stop it from happening, anything that's like shut it down, because it doesn't want to be shut down. Now people will say, oh well, you can give medication and medication will slow it down. Medication doesn't even touch it. All medication does is forces on top of the emotion They already densed emotion, then they put medication on top of that, and it just numbs the emotion, and all that happens is more emotion gets stored and then it explodes out of you like a pressure cooker. So instead of the emotion being allowed to release naturally, it's actually releasing on a pressure cooker level, which is not a nice experience. And I've watched people who's actually had them pressure cooker moments where they just burst out, scream, cry, it for no apparent reason. It just literally comes out of their body and they've got no control over it. And that's usually because they've tried to mask the emotion. So back to family and family splits. It just will not allow people to be in your vibratory field that is not on the same vibration as you. And the reason for that is because you are going to a different timeline, and that's how it works. The timelines are splitting, and it's the first set of timelines that at the higher are the ones that are already experiencing all of this and have been since 2019. So the ones who've already been experiencing this for the past three and a half years, they're the ones that will already have made the timeline to the new earth. So then it's the next set of timelines, because timelines are breaking down. They are literally becoming one timeline. So once that timeline happens, you do actually feel it. And I will do another video on timelines and how you feel that the timelines shift and change. And what you do find is, while we're in this 3D 5D timeline split, you're moving from one to another. So you could be in one timeline and 10 minutes later you could just move straight to another. And that depends on your vibratory process throughout that day. So if your vibratory process lowers, then you will drop into the lower timeline, and everything looks the same, everything looks identical, but you are different. You are on a different vibratory timeline, and you go to help others on the other vibratory timeline as well. So having said that, so going back to like relationships with COVID, relationships, what you are tending to find is, especially if you've got someone in the family that's spiritual and someone that isn't, they're the ones that you will see literally separate, and it will be a painful separation for both involved, but it's a separation that's needed for you all to evolve at the same time, at the same space. So you have all got to release all your own emotion, you've all got to deal with your own energies, you've all got to deal with your own processes, but you can only do that once you have all come and done all your own work and all your own clearing and all your energy clearings. Once all that has been done and has happened, at that point is then where you will be able to probably reunite, going into the fifth dimension. So it is a challenging time. It's a challenging time for everybody when this happens, because you find that a lot of the time your spirit wants you to be basically on your own. It just wants you to be on your own, because you're spending a lot of time in meditation, you're spending a lot of time clearing energies. Now these are times where, when you're crying and things like that, you don't want people around you, because they think something's wrong and they think there's a problem and they think there's something to fix. But in a spiritual awakening, there isn't a problem and there isn't anything to fix. There's energy that needs to clear, that needs to heal, and that's the only difference with it. But because we're trained as beings to see a problem, fix the problem, help the problem, that's not what happens in a spiritual awakening. So what happens, like I say, is we have got to release that emotion and heal that emotion, and that helps us raise our vibration. And same as with the DNA codes, the DNA being upgraded, that puts us on higher dimensional beings, which means that we've got more access to other realms and things like that, because it's like privileges when you get upgraded with your DNA. That's like God saying that you've passed the tests, and there is lots and lots of tests that we are being faced with that we have got to pass. And if you don't pass the test, then you'd go back to redo it again and again and again. And that's why some people will say, I feel like I'm just going through the same pattern again and again and again. Well, you need to look at what can you learn from that pattern and what can you change about it. So yeah, so it is, like I say, a sad time with all this wanting to be on your own spirit soul, but it's a way for us all to be able to evolve. So there is no guilt, no shame, no anger, no animosity in any of it. All there is, you know, they're getting on with their work and you're getting on with yours. We've all got a job to do and we all need to get on with it. So having said that, guys, please do like, please do subscribe, and please leave comments, and have a lovely day. Bye guys.